All right, I am here at Adventure 2023 with what is probably the news star of the show, Mike Patey, having a terrifying adventure, at least to those of us who care about you and watch you, love you, and don't want to see anything happen to you. Turbulence on the way in. There's a whole video about it, so we don't need to obviously do everything, but tell us a quick little bit about what it was like in the cockpit and what happened with the engine.
So there's about 7 minutes that we didn't get the recording because the online recorders don't have it. So the video I put out has 22,000 feet down when they handed me off to the second controller.
Okay.
I'm trying to get the rest, but the first event was this slightest vibration that I started to feel, and before I could even ask my friend if he noticed it, it just exploded. So it all went at once. First thing that happened, of course, I knew smoke came in the cockpit, but when we looked at the plane, it blew out the side of the can. My PT2 blades all departed, 100% of them. When they came out through the side of the engine, they took out my oil cooler, went through the oil cooler, through my wire harness, and then through my fresh air duct, which put the blast of the exhaust and the oil in the cabin through that hole.
Wow.
And so the first thing that happened is the plane went hard yaw. I lost thrust.
Yeah.
It was on autopilot. Garmin's autopilot kept me from rolling, so it just kicked, filled with smoke, and went quiet. It was just loud bang and then silence, and it was just air and smoke. So at that point, I keyed up. First words out of my mouth, declare an emergency. I've lost my engine. And we started a sequence of checking airports. Hey, what's that runway length? What's this? What's that? And we picked the one that kind of catches up 7 minutes later, worth of, or 6-7 minutes later worth of glide on that video, and we glided in. So, and then of course it's fun to be on top and then get to say, well, I can't shoot an approach, but let's make one up by doing this. So that added to the fun.
Oh my goodness! Like that's amazing. Was there any structural, like the aircraft itself?
The aircraft itself is fine. I need to do some carbon fiber work, but I know a guy, so I think we can we can patch up a little carbon fiber, fix some intake where it impacted the side of the cowling through the intake inlet box. Some venting, some body work, some paint. The metal that stuck into the wing, the shrapnel that came out, stuck in the wing and the tail. None of them went through what I had built. When I built it on the build series, you'll see I added a whole bunch of layers on the front for a bird strike potential.
Oh, okay.
I was worried that at 400 knots this plane could do, the bird strike would penetrate the wing. So I layered the front so thick that that shrapnel never made it past that structural front leading edge. It kind of just stuck in it. Yeah. Which is good because right behind it is fuel. All of the D section of Turbulence is fuel. So never penetrated the fuel bay at all, didn't even get close. So cosmetic work. Wow. Cosmetic work, we'll throw a new engine in it, we'll fly it home.
Well, you took it, you acted like a pro. You were able to handle the emergency in an amazing way. I'm thrilled as a friend that you're okay.
Thank you.
And I mean, what any lessons that just come immediately out of this to tell other people of like what you just came out of it? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Without a doubt, go practice your engine outs. My brother Mark had one 13 years ago, September, and he dropped into IMC and flew through slot canyons without an engine.
Yeah.
And he made his field barely. I had time to do the circle through IMC, but he had to IMC and then pop out and barely made it. It's highly unlikely anybody here is going to go through it, but every now and then you hear about it. Yeah. It happened to be me this time. It was my twin brother 13 years ago. Yeah. Train, practice, and when you fly, don't get complacent.
Right.
I started from 20 some odd years ago when I started flying. I was like instrument rated. I got this, that, and the other. I flew at night, and I was like, it won't happen. Yeah. Now, 20 some odd years later, I don't fly single engine at night anymore. If I do, then I have real strict requirements, like over a highway, prefer to have a parachute or a second engine or jet powered. Yeah. So it's like my old 210, I don't fly it at night. Wow. I just stopped doing it. And I think it's fine. I think you could probably do it, but I definitely took from the beginning of flight to today, and I keep backing up and saying,
more conservative.
How much safer can I be? Because this engine out, had it been at night, may have been a really different outcome.
Yeah.
The spiraling through IMC, as soon as I saw the runway, it was like, got it, there's 3, 4, here's how I got to hit it. But at night, it's like lights, and you're going to have it's going to take a little more time to connect all those lights to the runway that's that 14-knot headwind.
Yeah.
And so daytime made it easy. It made it relaxed.
You bring up something else which is really important, and that is some maneuvers that I don't think people really practice a lot that maybe you can either do in the hood or in IMC with safety pilot and ATC agreeing to it, and that's the spiraling. Like, the idea, how many people ever practice spiraling at night or spiraling in IMC? And I say spiral, not like a spin, but like what you had to do to corkscrew. You're not always gliding as far as you can to get somewhere. Sometimes you need to get to a specific spot.
ATC, they're amazing. And right before I got into where I started my spiral down, they said, hey, take this heading and we'll set you up for runway 31, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And we'll set you up. And I responded with, I'm going to stay over the field.
Yeah.
They don't know. You have to remember, they're going to help you, and they did a perfect job. This is not negative. They're trying to just help give you guidance, but ultimately, you're the pilot. And at the end of the day, if they say, hey, go do this, if your engine's out and you declare an emergency, you get to say, that's one option, here's another. How about I turn tighter to the airport, let me circle on it, and then pick a runway.
Yeah, they're your friend. They're there for whatever you need, but they're not in the cockpit.
That's right. They're not in the cockpit. They don't know what turbulence glides like. It glides like a brick. It's a legacy. Historically, legacies don't make it to the fields. Now, historically, they're not that high, so I had an advantage. I had a lot of time. So, but what people miss in the video is the screams between the mic. I'm like, I'm gonna die! And no, I'm just kidding. We didn't do that. I think what made it not panic was literally just training.
Yeah.
I think that when the engine went, there was no hesitation. In my mind, I was like, I have done this in this plane over and over and over. It became a game. I used to use this plane. I mean, it's got 1,000 hours I've put on this thing as my regular commuter.
Yeah.
It's fast, but I fly the engine at the book specs and lower, always. It may be a race plane, but it's not like my Reno racers I push. This thing's never been boosted. I commuted it across the country nonstop. And when I'd come home, I'd chop the throttle, set it up for flight, and I'd be like, gosh, I'm really far out. I don't think I can make the field. Engine out. And I would just see how far can I go. If I go this speed, what if I pitch it down? What about this?
Wow.
And then and I don't know how many times I've done it, but because I made it a game and I always had the option to push it up, it's not dozens of times that I had done engines outs in this plane. It became my normal practice. Oh, the pattern's not busy at my field. There's really no one there to disrupt.
Right.
I'm pulling my engine at 18,000 feet.
Yeah.
And we're going to see where we can get to. And so when this happened, it was like, here's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I think that helped me.
That makes a lot of sense.
And you know what? So anybody watching, guys, engine outs are actually fun to practice. And you didn't need to just do it for your license. That license is the license to keep learning. I know you've all heard it. But you know what's more fun is when you get to go out, pull it back to an idle, over a safe place, set it up, and then do it again and practice your engine outs. And if you're not comfortable, don't do it yourself. Grab your instructor, bring back some memories, go do your engine outs, because I promise you, for me, that's what made me relax.
Yeah.
And then I got to focus on killing fuel, shutting off electrical, let's make sure it doesn't light on fire, and get ready. And I had plenty of time to get ready.
Yeah.
So.
Well, ultimately, it saved your life. It kept you here for the rest of us. So.
Yeah, happy to be here.
I'm just glad you're here, man.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. All right, guys, be safe, fly safe.
You got it. For Social Flight at AirVenture 2023, I'm Jeff Simon, and thankfully here with Mike Patey. Blue skies.
Back to work.